Most times, building a PC is very easy. You take a case, slap in a bunch of higher-end components, like an ITX motherboard, a Z790 from ASRock with a 14700K inside of it. I know, even if it's 14th gen or broken 14th gen, but you take a bunch of components, some mini-itx, or some SFX power supply, a GPU, some RAM, and you're done. But on some occasions, you get a case like this. This is the SSUPD Meshroom V2, the S model. When they contacted us to make a review about this, they've also asked which configuration we wanted to do because they needed to assign a specific riser length to us. And at that point, I went down the rabbit hole of 60 plus pages of manual, and this ain't gonna be easy today. Now, to be very clear, I'm not saying the case is over-engineered or is over-complicated. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there are so many possibilities, 60 plus pages full of possibilities, to do with this case that the review will be so complicated to produce because I like to include every possible scenario, do whatever you want to do, and then showcase everything you could do for a full case review. Yeah, and I think this is going to be like a 30 minutes video. It's going to be incredibly hard to do that. But before we do the actual review, let's do a first build in here, check out the case, do the initial builds because you have like multiple different build setups you could do inside of this case. So let's try the one that we told SSUPD we wanted to do and see how the case performs. I just need to make sure because I know they put extra panels for us somewhere in here. I just don't know where. I think they forgot my extra panels. I was told there would be like the turquoise blue panels somewhere. Whee! Okay, so this is a SSUPD case. I've never worked with any of their cases before. Now they are very known. Meshlicious, which is very, very known, and this is the Meshroom S. Now this also exists in a D subversion, where the case is basically like this, instead of like this. Oh, there is something in, oh, okay. I think I found the missing panels. Correction. There they are. Oh yeah, and every panel is like easily removable with like a pop mechanic. Okay, here we got two panels. Okay, so they included the green. Oh yeah, I asked for the green ones. Oh, sorry, yeah. So we have the green top panel and front panel, just so that we can do more B-rolls using different color setups. But this is more of like a side project. Anyway, this is not actually a raw mini-itx case. Like, this doesn't have a constraint as in you need to use mini-itx motherboards and a SFX power supply. No, this could also house a full-on ATX motherboard and an ATX power supply. So this is very, very versatile as far as very small cases are concerned. And didn't they even write it on the box? Because this is the S version, so this has 14.9 liters. So we are looking at a sub 15 liter case that can house an ATX motherboard, an ATX power supply, and potentially up to 4 PCIe slot GPUs, and that's for a case that size, that's amazing. Let's also remove the front. Great. And very small side note, I love the fact that they pre-install some like rubberized feet on the bottom because they are not necessary, and you have apparently other types of feet where you can you can lift the case up from the table, which you may or may not need depending on the GPU configuration, but that's for the review. Anyway, I love the fact that they already have by default feet on here because I swear to God I would have already at this point scratched my complete table. So before we begin, what are we going to install in here? I already told you a ASRock mini-itx motherboard, a Z790 in combination with a Intel 14700K. I know, Intel i7, i9s have issues right now, but that's like the coolest chip that I have around for this. Then for the power supply, I wanted to go with a SFX one because I would like to get the space. Because even if I could install regular ATX power supplies in here, I wanted to go with the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 in 280 because by, let's say, spec sheet or by manual, I should be able, like by a millimeter, to install it here in the front. And that's what I wanted to do. And I'm pretty sure that if I combine that with a regular ATX power supply, there's no way that this is going to work. So we're going to do that. Then, oh yeah, GPU. And we are going to use my Phantom 4080. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's put the case aside for a minute and start preparing the motherboard. CPU is already in there. We still need to install the... Oh, I completely forgot. We also got some brand new Asgard RAM that I sent along. This is a DDR5 7600 kit, two 16 gig sticks, and they look all black. A bit of RGB in the top, like, and they are so freaking high. Like, this is the end for every air cooler. Like, oh, I love those. Anyway, let's start by assembling the motherboard, and then we can have a look at the case. Yeah, this is what fell apart. I never screwed in these screws, but who cares? Because I need to unscrew them anyway. A screwdriver which isn't magnetized. Screw it. Okay. There we go. Now, one very important step we need to do, because we are using the Arctic Liquid Freezer, is remove basically everything except for the CPU. And I mean, this is not the Arctic Liquid Freezer 280 review. That one is going to come in a few weeks. But I still need to quickly do that. Now, is this the mounting hardware bag? Yeah. Oh, okay. Here we got what I'm looking for. Yes, here we got the new mounting mechanism for Intel LGA 1700 and the 1851 socket, which apparently nobody is allowed to talk about, but it's going to come soon anyway. So let's quickly remove everything here. Great. Now replace that with the one from Arctic and install the Intel screws. Perfect. And now let's leave it like that until we install everything in the case. And there I'm also going to apply the thermal paste. And now the last point of the day is install RAM. And just, I still love how Asgard is packaging all of this stuff. And it's like, this is like halfway waifu, almost waifu card. But the RAM is definitely not waifu. That's very premium looking. Yeah, I guess we are ready for the case. Now, one thing about the case I still need to figure out, because I'm unboxing it live here in the camera. I like to do like to start my case reviews by first opening a case and then trying it out, and then actually starting to work on the case. And sometimes I see a surprise. Like, for example, I was under the impression that if you buy this case, you get a riser cable and you need to bend it, because that's just how the manual explained it to some degree. And I thought that would be like the go out of the box state of the case. But in this scenario here, my riser cable is already bent, it is already installed, everything is already in place, and it is ready to be used with a mini-itx motherboard, because like from its position, this is the mini-itx position basically. So I don't know if somebody would buy the case now on their website, would he also get this in this state, or will he need to bend it? So I still need to figure that one out. But I guess let's start by installing the motherboard first. Then we need to figure out the whole AIO situation, if this works, how I intend it to work. I'm not 100% sure yet. Motherboard seems fairly easy, if I do this the right way. Just don't forget about this one. Oh no, yeah, I remember this from the manual. Because you can shift the, let's say, whole motherboard plate towards the front, and you basically have this slot here which can move to the back, and you basically move the motherboard by, what is this, like 2 centimeters towards the front, which then takes away from any potential CPU air cooler, of course. But in this case we use an AIO, so I really don't care about that. But in the back it would give me more space for my GPU, and in this case here my card fits, but it's like very close to the front, if I'm honest, and I would prefer to give the GPU a bit of a buffer zone in front of it. So you know what? Let's move the motherboard a bit to the front. Just try out the case before actually trying out the case. And I'm going to do all of that without consulting the motherboard, because I can do that freehand. So this needs to move. This here needs to be replaced. This one too. And then we got a bunch more screws in the bottom, I guess. Yeah, these are a little bit bigger. Was that everything? No. This one here too. And this one. Okay. Great, and now I saw that we have a shorter, I don't know how to call this, rod that we can mount here. And here we go. Oh no, I still need to move this bracket. And this now moves towards the back. Oh, it doesn't move towards the back. Or does it? Yeah, okay. And tada, motherboard area moved towards the front because I don't need the space anyway. And in the back I now got basically one PCIe slot more, which I do not necessarily need, but it's good to have because now we got some space in between the mesh panel and the GPU, which might eliminate whistle noise if it was there in the first place. Very complicated sentence. Let's put in the motherboard. Oh yeah, this is a great case for like people who need to build mid-video because I have a space here in the bottom where I can put my hand through. Because filming the action of installing a motherboard is really, for a camera, it's just really hard. You never have a good angle, you never see what the hell you're doing. And this was particularly easy for once. Yeah. If I didn't screw it up. And ta-da! Okay, now we got two possibilities. I can continue by installing the power supply, or I can continue by installing the AIO, but I think I'm going to start with the AIO after I plug in the PCIe cable. Oh, this is like really hard to get to the front. Okay, as a next step, I'm going to install the AIO. I think that's going to be easier because I don't yet exactly know how the tubes are going to travel, and later on just slapping on the power supply, I think that's going to be easier. But to not be bothered by too much cabling, I'm going to use the all-in-one cable here from Arctic, which, yeah, I know, setting up curves or individual curves for everything would probably be better for, let's say, overall enjoyment, but I'm just going to take the easy route for once. If I'm able to figure out how this cable goes in there. Ta-da! Easy. Okay. Oh, it has been such a long time since I last worked with a 280mm AIO from Arctic. Like for the previous version, I loved the 280mm liquid freezer too. Like that thing was so good, so much better than the 240, and like depending on the workload, even better than the 360. Like a lot of people wondered why that is, and I don't really know myself, but the 280 version was so good compared to any other in regards to its size. Okay, now comes that. Yeah, this is the one part about the liquid freezer that I don't enjoy to such a degree, because this mounting is like, you need to press it a bit to get the screws in there, which I can't really do because the case is standing. Okay, I have one. Oh, that was fairly easy. Oh. And that was the easy part. Now the radiator needs to go into the front end. I should have checked beforehand if it actually fits, because it's possible that it doesn't fit because it has 27mm fans. Yeah, I should have checked that. Imagine it doesn't fit now. If it doesn't fit now, I'm going to be so pissed. But let's just hope for the best here. But I first need to remove these 120mm brackets because they are unnecessary. Oh, fuck me. Just give me a second. Because the, not really pump head, but because the VRM fan of the liquid freezer is so big, it protrudes outside the case. Oh, now I need to push everything back again. It doesn't work in this configuration. So I need to take away the one slot for the GPU, which doesn't really bother the GPU, but all of that was for nothing. Damn it. Okay, you know what? Let's first install the radiator in the front, and then I'm going to see how I manage that. No, this should fit, but I'm going to do a slight modification to this radiator. I'm going to move the fans to the front so that they are pulling straight through the mesh in the front. Yeah, I'm going to do that first. This is now going to be really fun. Okay, so I need to turn these here around, and will the cable fit if I... No, one of the pre-routed cables is too short for this. Oh no, you can make it work if you fiddle around a bit. Yeah, something like this looks correct. So now let's try to fiddle all of this into there. I need to remove the RAM. They are too big. And yes, you can remove the top here, these two, no, not brackets, but those rods, but they are not going to help me in this very specific scenario here. Let's maybe first move the fans in so that they are already in position, and then I'm somehow going to fiddle the radiator in there. You can see this is a very fiddly job. Get it in there. Because yes, by spec, actually the AO shouldn't fit, like it's 2 millimeters too big. But just by looking at it, I'm pretty sure I can make this work. It's just a question of how will I get it in. And so far, nothing has been scratched, so there's that. Ooh, I have an idea. Maybe a stupid idea, but it's an idea. Yeah, okay, and at this point I can also just remove the fans and rewire everything later. I mean, we are now at a point where I can also just do that. We now actually have a different problem because okay, how should I show you that? Because the tubes of the AIO are perfectly in the middle, which is exactly where this piece here comes out. So I should be able to, yeah, that should go in between the two tubes, but I would need to remove it, put this in, and then install this one. And, I knew this is going to be a complicated one. I just knew it. But I have an idea. I'm going to remove now the complete motherboard area. I'm going to remove it from the case. I'm going to install the AIO in the front with the fans, mount it down like really tight to have as much space into the back as possible. And then I'm going to install the motherboard area again. In that moment, I'm also going to use the more backwards installation position so that we regain the ability to close the case. And at the same time, I'm also going to make sure that this piece here gets in between the two tubes. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay, now I need to plan everything as much as I can. Let's reinstall this bracket here first. Okay, now without reinstalling the complete motherboard area, because now I can still move it around, and even more so if I remove this rod. Yeah, okay, now I can take the AIO. Oh my god, this is such an amount of mental gymnastics here. Now I can take the AIO. Please don't fall. Install this one here. And congratulations, I forgot about the fans. Fan number 1, fan number 2. This is so complicated. Yeah, I'm going to screw these here in really tight so that I lose as little space in the back as possible. Okay. Now let's not do any mistakes here. Otherwise I would forget about this one. But I didn't. And now I need to do everything at the same time. So this, I need to turn this around. I'm really trying to show you this here, but I need to twist it into multiple directions at the same time while I am tilting it, while I'm pushing it. This is everything but easy, but it is going to be worth it. You know what? To make my job easier, I'm also going to remove this bracket here. Okay, so now I have a bit more space to work with here. Okay, the motherboard is already in place. Now I just need to bring everything else into position. This needs to go a little bit more towards the back. Yeah, like that. Yeah, this looks like it's correct. It looks like I have done it. Let's screw everything back in and then see if I have really done it. Yeah, installing this bracket is really fun if you have an AIO in the way. Oh yeah, now I need the longer rod back. But yeah, this is the short one. Here we got the long one, so this goes back here. Hey? Oh, I installed this bracket the wrong way. That's why there is no hole. This needs to go in. Yeah, this first out. Then this down. Yeah, this is the right way. Yeah, now I got a hole for the rod. Now everything starts to make sense again. Did I really just pull off a Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 280 in this tiny... Oh, I forgot the rod again. Okay, let's try this again. Did I really just pull off an Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 280 inside of this tiny whiny little case? I'm quite happy with myself right now. That's an accomplishment if you ask me. Now my adventure is not over yet. First I gotta find out if I can somehow make these tubes go in a way so that I can still close the side panel here. I believe I can do that, but it's going to be a little bit of a stretch. I know that this won't work, but let's see if this already closes. Because with the power supply later on, I can figure out a way to like tuck them somewhere in. It closes, and it has no bend. Oh, we pulled it off. Arctic liquid freezer is in there. Oh, how cool is that? Now, for the next part of my devastating adventure, let's see with the power supply situation, because that's a whole other topic. I can figure out the wiring later, but now I somehow need to fit in that power supply without blocking the tubes and without pushing the tubes out, and this is going to be really fun. But it's an SFX power supply, so it's like really, really small. Smallest possible issue of the big issues. Okay, this is the ideal power supply position, and later on we need to figure out the tubes.
One eternity later.
Whew. Now the good thing about this power supply, this Silverstone Extreme 850R, is that we got that 450 watts NVIDIA cable here, and that's going to be really, well, come in really handy because I got just less wires. That makes me really, really happy. And let's start by connecting. Yeah, I know it's just black cables. I don't have any like replacement cables that I could use here. Oh, so much to do at the same time right now because we still got this USB 3.0 or 3 point whatever type A, and here we got for the type C, and we still need to somehow fit them in while installing this one. That's going to be really fun. Let's remove the RAM again. Who would have thought that RAM are like my biggest issue today? Can I make this here work, please? Oh, wow. Okay, we got the shortest possible wiring for the 3.0 and for the front I/O. The cables are going down here, making a very sharp bend down here, and then going straight into the motherboard. That's the shortest bend possible I was able to create. And therefore I should also be able to... Oh, this is like the perfect length for this cable. Oh, this was just perfect. And with that, the 8-pin, which we are going to try and fiddle through here, right next to the riser, please. I don't know if the cable is going to be long enough, because I don't want to like push it through somewhere here. That would just look ugly. And in the back, I can hide it behind the GPU. The shortest possible path. Oh my god. Whew, it's in there. It's in there. Now let's do the hard part. RAM. Whew. Like I'm sweating in here. Let's turn up the AC for a bit, cause it's getting hot in here. Oh, thank you. Cold air. Okay. Okay. I just keep saying okay, okay, okay. Nothing is okay. But then again, to be very clear, the case is way easier to work with than I initially thought, if I'm completely honest here, because let's be like really honest here, I overdid it a bit. The manual very clearly said you have max, I think it was 65 or something millimeters worth of space in the front, and I thought, yeah, no, let's ignore the manual and let's go with an Arctic liquid freezer 3 to 80, which based on the manual that very clearly does not fit. Yet I still did it, so that's really on me and not on the case. But it does prove a point, because if I can make this happen, it does prove that you can do a bit more than the manual would, like on paper, allow you to do. Okay, I tucked all the cables in there. They are hidden to the best of my abilities. Now for the GPU, I can already put the cable, push it to the back, where it's going to be later on. That's fine. And now I want to recheck if I can make the tubes go in there. Okay, now with the tubes in this position, can I still close this? Is it closed? Yes. Does it have a bend? Not really. I mean, maybe very slightly, but it's so slim that I am sure I can make it go away with a bit more stuffing. Yeah, this should do it. Whew. Okay, last endeavor of the day, or before we start routing all of the fans, the last endeavor of the day would be the GPU. And first off, let's remove this bracket here. This is, originally, this would have been like back fans, or I guess maybe also a bit of power supplies, SSDs or something. But we can't use that because we need the space for our GPU. Okay, if this now doesn't fit, I swear to God. Oh, for fuck's sake. I will not get the GPU in there like this because of the tubes of the AIO. They are just too much in the way. And turning the AIO upside down isn't a possibility either. I think the only possibility that I do really have is reinstall the fans on the backside so that the fitting of the tube moves towards like the front, and in that moment I should be able to reroute the tube which is in right now in this half of the case back to this half of the case, and it should be pushed so much to the front essentially so that I re-enable my PCIe slot here on the bottom. Oh, I don't want to do that. Okay, I gotta admit, unlike what I'm usually facing, the manual of the Meshroom case is very, very precisely accurate. The amount of space you have in between the front and this part of the motherboard plate here is exactly what they stated to the millimeter. And no matter what I do, and I switch everything around a few times, I am not going to be able to install the Arctic Liquid Freezer using the original fan or fans because... Where is my tool? Because the fans are in fact 2 millimeters wider than the usual, not in inches. Yeah, 27.1, 27.2 or 0.3 depending on how I'm holding it. Can you? Yeah, this should be. They are 27 millimeters compared to the usual fan, which is 25 point something. And what happens is actually, it's so annoying. I could make it happen. You can squeeze the fan in there. The problem is that the Arctic P14 fans here, they are the part that keeps the motor and the impeller in place is, I don't want to say weak, but you are going to push the top one into the radiator where it's going to scratch the radiator. And that's what's going to happen no matter how I twist and turn it. I cannot make it happen using the original fans. Now, thankfully, very thankfully, we recently reviewed the Thermaltake, how are they called again? Thermaltake P14 Pro? Aren't they called P14 Pro? I think they are P14 Pro. Tough Fan Pro 14. The Thermaltake Tough Fan Pro 14, which are excellent fan actually, and they are actually a lot better than the P14 ARGBs over here. So I decided, you know what, let's switch them around, make the cooler better, and make the whole thing possible, because the 2 millimeters that we lose by switching the fans are the 2 we need to make all of this happen. So yeah, that's my solution to the problem. And what's also cool, I can keep using the PVM splitter that comes out in the bottom of the AIO. So I'm not going to have to route any new cables, which is excellent. Okay, with these 2 here gone, we can do everything we wanted to do beforehand. These here in. Yeah, to make them extra tight. Okay, now before we close all of this, I've learned that right now, that's the moment you want to install the GPU. So you have all the space you need. And you can access the screws here from the bottom. That's also quite handy. GPU is in all the way. Okay, now please work. I have done this now so many times. Please just work. Okay, this should be like the ideal position. Can the fan spin? This one can spin freely. Oh God, yes. they can spin freely, so... Oh, we are coming towards an end. Let's close this and let's check out how the final result is. Everything wired up. Everything seems to be ready. So let's see if we can close all the panels now. Okay, the front one, that's the easy panel. Oh wow, the front panel closed without any issue. Who would have thought? Now this one. This one needs to go a bit more down, but it should work. Oh, now the only thing left to do. Oh, this system is running fantastically. Running a CPU burner from Firmark. The chip was sitting at a mid to high 80 when PL1 was still hitting, and then it dropped down to 50 something. So no ramping, like the fans are really quiet. The whole thing, at least the CPU side, works fantastically. Then on the GPU, it's really the same thing. Low 60s with Firmark all in at 4K. The whole thing, fantastic, and it is so quiet. And even when the GPU fans are spinning, I do not hear any sort of whistle noise due to the mesh, nothing. This is really quiet. And let's check out how the airflow actually works in here. I guess most of the air is being sucked in the front and then dissipated basically everywhere. But let's check that out. Yeah, there isn't really anything being sucked in on the side. It's pushed out basically everywhere. And you can see the behind, but probably around here where we have the GPU, there will be some... Yeah, maybe not now because the GPU fans are not spinning, but I will just quickly start Firmark so that we have some ramping on the GPU. Okay, Firmark 4K, and now the GPU fans should be spinning. Yeah, now they are sucking in. The GPU is sucking in and it is being pushed mostly towards the top. So it then comes out. Funnily enough, even the VRM fan isn't sucking any air in, or at least not a lot. If you look at that, most of the smoke is just going straight up, and if I'm close enough, a little bit is going in, but really just a little bit. Ah, this works great. Like, whoa, this is great. And overall, I love this build. Like, I overdid it with the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3, but that was intentional. I wanted to see if I can push it a little bit further than what the manual states. And yes, you can to some degree, but not with the original fans. But like this whole thing, this is great. Now, to my surprise, working with the case was easier than what I feared from like in advance based on the manual, but it was still a bit harder than I thought. Working with this, you really gotta plan everything ahead. The GPU, for example, I just told them how long the GPU is going to be. I didn't even really think about the fact that it will be squeezed against the outer panel. And I almost forgot that, and just imagine what would have happened if it would be like a few millimeters wider, but I had my chance there. Now, for the review, putting all of this into specific instructions will be so hard. Like, there are so many ifs with this case that's going to be a hard one. But for this build, for today, this was great. The case is great. I love that thing. So yeah, for today, using a Arctic Liquid Freezer 3280 inside of the Meshroom V2S or Meshroom S V2 works, but not with the original fans. But based on the temperature, I don't care because the temps are just great. So if you want to exchange them for Thermaltake Pros 14, works flawless. Temperature is great. Thermaltake is still running. I should stop Thermaltake, but okay, I'm going to end it here for today. I'm going to start working on the review, start working on all of the ifs and if nots of this thing. It's, you know, I'm going to need a vacation after that video. It's going to be like a 30 minutes video. But okay, for today, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to continue watching, have a look at this other build that we did a few weeks ago. Maybe that's more something for you if you don't like the small form factor. But thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.